Welcome back to Indiana Diecast Racing in the continuing Round 3 action of the Final Fantasy Fracas. Today we've got groups 13, 14, and 15. You can see Arlo already up there with 2, maybe 3 cars into round 4. A bunch of groups with 1 and a bunch of groups yet to race this round. So here we go. Group 13, no more single team groups. So first up today, we've got Flip from Flip's Racing driving Jack the Hammer. It's a zoom-in Frankenstein thing. He's bringing in a bunch of points and 5 wins. They've already advanced 1 to the next round, and they've got, I think, 2 more. From Puff's Green Squad, it's Spliff driving a baseline, also bringing in a fair amount of points. This is their last of 2 cars to possibly advance. And now we've got MF from White Knuckle Motoring in a Riveted. This is the first of the 2 cars they've got in round 3. And finally, it's Woody Boyd in a GT Hunter from Down Squad Racing. This is also the first of 2 entries for that team in this round. So we've got Flip, Spliff, MF, and Woody Boyd. Flip and MF get off to a pretty quick start. They're not going to be caught in turn 2. And MF is trying to chase down Flip. They round the Savage Square and come to the line, and it's Flip, MF, Spliff, and Woody Boyd on a pretty uneventful but fairly quick first lap. I really like that GT Hunter of Woody Boyd. MF on the pole for lap 2. See if he can get ahead of Flip this time, and no, Flip turns on the jets, and he's going to blast through turn 2. And he's already out to a pretty sizable lead, but MF is closing in Echo Base. They're through the S's and into the square. Flip now pulling away, and Flip will win back-to-back. MF up on the wall, but takes second. Spliff is third, and Woody Boyd is fourth. I think they finished in the same order as on the first lap. And as you watch Flip go over that crossover, man, he just uses the meaty end of that zoom in to blast ahead, and he's up by 2 after 2. Maybe the Canadian can make some noise here as Flip moves to the back. Woody Boyd on the pole. There's the crossover. It looks like MF and Flip are going to be out front again. They just swapped places, and MF gets way ahead of Flip. Flip somehow slows in turn 2 for some reason, and he's closing. Oh, he gets a tap. And it's MF, Flip, Woody Boyd, and Spliff. So taking a closer look at that start again. And I think MF gets, well, let's see, going into turn 2. Yep, MF gets a tap from Flip, and that really increases his momentum around the turn, and he's just able to pull away. Flip makes up the ground, but MF wins the lap. I think Flip's still in the lead. And now Spliff leads just ahead of Flip. They're around turn 2. Woody Boyd holding up MF in the back. Spliff able to get some separation on Flip, but here comes Flip again. Flip very fast in the Savage Square. Spliff wins lap 3. Oh, and Woody Boyd rolls over but crosses the line. Taking a closer look, Woody Boyd tries to drive off the track, saved by the safety wall. And Flip takes the group with 14 points. He edges out MF of White Knuckle Motoring by 3. And there's MF's wildcard positioning, about 3 points shy. It's a good turn-in, but White Knuckle Motoring will be down to 1 car. We move on to Group 14. And first up, it's Raggedy Man, representing the home team Indiana Diecast Racing in Auntie's Bane. He brings in a massive 29 points. That's good enough to be the 4th seed. And they've got 3 cars left in the tournament. Next up from MQH Racing, it's Mercury in a Prototype 12. This is the first of the 3 cars they've advanced to this round. And then everyone knows Sneaky Bob in Vapor Racing. He's driving his very nicely faded Count Muscula. Vapor Racing's got 5 cars left in the tournament. And in the last remaining entry for Dubious Diecast, it's Goulet in a lethal diesel. So we wish the best to Goulet. We want to see that team continue. We've got Raggedy Man, Mercury, Sneaky Bob, and Goulet. Raggedy Man out to a quick start. Sneaky Bob not going to chase him down yet. Raggedy Man increasing the gap. And it's a 2-car race out front. Well, it's really a 1-car race as Raggedy Man easily takes the opening lap. Ooh! Sneaky Bob nearly drives off the track. Mercury is 3rd and Goulet 4th. Raggedy Man sporting those glow-in-the-dark wheels, guaranteed to make you go 10% faster. And this time I think Sneaky Bob's gonna come out of turn 2 with the lead. And we've got a battle of lethal diesels for second. Looks like Goulet comes out in front. Sneaky Bob leads Goulet around the final turn, and it's, Sneaky Bob just edges out Goulet. Raggedy Man is 3rd, and Mercury a distant 4th. Taking a closer look at that, turn 2. Raggedy Man unable to catch Sneaky Bob and gets inside Goulet. But in Echo Base, the driver from Dubious Diecast just able to carry the momentum a little bit stronger, and he gets an extra point out of it. So after 2, Sneaky Bob leads by 1 over Raggedy Man of IDR. And Goulet will take the pole for lap 3, with Sneaky Bob on the outside. Sneaky Bob's going to have a chance to pass in turn 2, and not quite. It's a head-to-head battle, and now Sneaky Bob takes the lead, and Goulet drops all the way to 3rd, and the front pair extend their lead. It's going to be Sneaky Bob, Raggedy Man, Mercury with a last-second pass, and Goulet drops all the way to 4th after leading early. Some great driving by Sneaky Bob to fend off Goulet, and Raggedy Man just kind of along for the ride. Goulet nearly drives off the track, and he slows enough that Mercury is able to make a pass at the line. And Sneaky Bob extends his lead. He's up by 2 over Raggedy Man. It'll be a head-to-head battle on lap 4 from the back row for the group victory. Raggedy Man's got to finish at least 2 positions ahead of Sneaky Bob, and it may not happen. Sneaky Bob slots into 2nd, Raggedy Man all the way in the back, and Goulet leads. Goulet brings him to the line. Sneaky Bob nearly drives off the track, but takes 2nd, and that should be good enough to ensure he advances to the next round. And sure enough, he does. Sneaky Bob comes in with 14 and wins the group over Raggedy Man. Raggedy Man will be the wild card spot, and Raggedy Man takes the top wild card spot away from Arlo and Big Al with a total of 39 points, and I gotta believe that's gonna be tough to beat the rest of this round. Move on to the last group of the day, and speaking of Arlo, it's Carmelo from Arlo Racing driving her Audacious. That team has 7 drivers remaining. Now from Disaster DC, their last driver in the tournament, Storm Trooperson, is at the helm of a Governor. And Sneaky Bob gets right back on the track, but this is his clone, the second, for Vapor Racing, driving an MST Suzuka. And Vapor Racing, I believe, is at 5 cars remaining. And Numbskull gets back on the track, all in another bubble gunner. He's got 4 out of 5 bubble gunners that he sent to the tournament still driving. So it's Carmelo, Stormtrooperson, Sneaky Bob the second, and Numbskull. And it's a tight battle through turn 2, and it looks like Carmelo's going to come out in front just ahead of Stormtrooperson. They're through the S's. It's a tight 3-car pack, and lap 1 is Carmelo, Stormtrooperson, Numbskull, and then Sneaky Bob 2. It really looked like Stormtrooperson was going to be able to make the pass in turn 2, and for a second I think he does, but Carmelo, with that shorter, smaller car, able to navigate the laned turn. So Arlo Racing on top after 1. Here we go on lap 2. Numbskull pushing Sneaky Bob out front. Carmelo hot on their heels in third. There's a lot of purple in this race. And Sneaky Bob leads them down the final straight. It's Sneaky Bob, Numbskull, Carmelo, and Stormtrooperson. So after 2, Carmelo still in the lead, but only 1 point over Sneaky Bob and Numbskull. Stormtrooperson 2 points back with 4. And Numbskull takes the pole for that 3, and he's blasting away pretty quick. That bubble gunner really likes the clean air out front. Stormtrooperson able to edge his way in front of Sneaky Bob 2. Numbskull's going to fly away with this lap. And, Stormtrooperson gets sideways, but still manages to take second after taking a hit from Sneaky Bob 2. We're going to take a closer look at it. He gets sideways, almost comes to a stop, and just gets tossed across the line. Carmelo avoids the wreck. And we've got a 3-way tie for second. Numbskull assumes the lead with 9. Everybody else tied with 7. Things are looking good for Numbskull with that 2-point lead here on the last lap. And he's going to blast ahead again. The rest of the drivers are going to have to hope for a miracle or a disaster, depending on how you look at it. But Numbskull's leading the group. If he wins this lap, he takes the group. And sure enough, Numbskull wins. Stormtrooperson gets sideways and again takes second place. Those longer cars just don't like the exit of that final turn for some reason. And Numbskull wins the group with 13, a whole 3 points over Stormtrooperson, who will be the wild card. And 34 total points is not going to cut it. But we thank Disaster DC for coming out and joining us in this tournament. So there's the current standings. Raggedy Man assumes the wild card, while Arlo, Flips, Vapor, and Numbskull Racing all have 2 in round 4 now. This has been Jim D for Indiana Diecast Racing. Be sure to check it next time for more slightly above mediocre diecast racing and the continuing round 3 action of the Final Fantasy Fracas.